The following program does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of the staff, management, or ownership of this station.
The following pre-recorded program is brought to you by Vertuvian, a Texas-based registered investment advisor.
Now, let the uprising begin.
There are only two genders, and one of them is right here. It's the box that rocks. This is the Angela Box Show on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
Hello, hello, hello. Once again, all my fellow patriots and you filthy leftist stalkers out there. You're listening. Well, you know what you're listening to. What are you, stupid? Listening to Angela Box Show. Duh. Okay. Before we jump into everything, because there's a lot, as per usual, I want to talk. There are three crazy shows right now that have come out kind of quickly, back to back to back. Actually, there's four, but let's start with these three. I mean, you know, people faking cancer, I guess, is like the thing now. Like, super thirsty millennial girls and Gen Z girls who just, like, need adulation from randos and, like, a bunch of likes and money being thrown at them for cancer they don't have is, like, a thing now. Last year, I think it was late last year, there was this show, Anatomy of Lies. And I have never, thank you very much, very proud to say, never seen an episode of Grey's Anatomy, and I never will. And after watching Anatomy of Lies, I'm like, this is like a seriously, like, woke little time capsule here. Because this lady who wrote on the show and became an executive producer, like, she was, like, dining out on the fact that she had cancer. I mean, it was quite an elaborate scheme. But there was also the Me Too crap and the BM crap. It was just this weird little woke time capsule of like 2019. It was fascinating. But she was eventually found out. That's fantastic. Then, like a couple of weeks ago, I'm just sitting there looking at Hulu. I'm like, what is Scamanda? What is this? Y'all, this crazy girl named Amanda Riley out in Northern California, like, grifted off people in her life and the church she went to and said she had, like, stage 4 brain cancer and she had, like, 2 months to live and all these things. And eventually it just was not adding up, obviously. But to which I say, why did it take people so long? Like, she doesn't look sick. Like, have you ever seen someone with cancer? Like, they look very, very ill and they don't have a lot of energy. And they certainly don't have a lot of energy to write a dumb blog. But whatever, she did. And she got found out and whatever. And her dumb husband was totally in on it, but they never charged him with anything because of spousal privilege. But methinks that now that she's divorced from this guy, spoiler alert, and she's in jail, I bet she's going to start talking. One would hope. Then I just finished up, and the podcast Scamanda's great too. So I watched Scamanda, and then I was like, wait a minute, there's a podcast? Oh, yes! It was good. And the girl that did, like, her voiceover, like, her reading from her blog, was this super syrupy, sweet, you know, someone you would think that went to a mega church. No offense, okay? No offense. Like, I just want to thank God and all the amazing people in my life, and oh, thank you so much for flying me round trip to New York City for my clinical trial. And, oh, but guess what? I can do my clinical trial in the comfort of my home. Again, people, hello, nobody put two and two together going, that's not a thing. But anyway, then there's this third one that I just finished. And this is a chick out in Australia who I'd never heard of, but her name was Belle Gibson. And this was like in 2013, 2014. Now, let me stipulate, out of all of these people, well, I mean, I would say that all three of them had talents that they untapped for whatever reason, and they used a scam to get attention, essentially. It's a Munchausen, basically. I think it's Munchausen mixed with deep insecurities and deep, just, you know, they've got problems, okay? But all of them had skill sets that if they'd used properly, especially Elizabeth Finch and this Belle Gibson chick, they would have been just fine. I mean, Elizabeth Finch was writing on, like, a super popular show. She was, you know, executive producer on the show. But again, she kind of dined out on the fact that she had cancer. And then she's like, oh, I have to miss work because of the cancer. Oh, no, I'm so sick. Anyway, then this Belle Gibson, this is the craziest one of all to me. She starts this blog in 2013. She's like, hi, everyone. I can't do an Australian accent. Oh, by the way, the girl who plays her in the Apple Cider Vinegar Show on Netflix is this actress named Caitlin Dever. And she's been in a few things, but she's one of these actresses. I'm telling you right now, as a former actress, I can spot talent. She's a level of a Philip Seymour Hoffman. I'm not exaggerating. She's fantastic. She's one of these actresses that can kind of, she doesn't play herself like a Vince Vaughn does or like a Matthew McConaughey does. She really does immerse herself into the character. And she has this pitch-perfect Australian accent, which I can tell you is very hard to do, an Australian accent for an American. And I thought she was Australian. I was like, oh, my God, this she's from Texas. So shout out to that actress. Anyway, this Belle Gibson chick in Australia starts this blog in 2013, just creates this whole app, like literally the first lifestyle and wellness app on Apple, and Apple picked it up, and it was like this, organic and not gluten-free and all this, that thing. But it would have been very, very successful. I mean, she did this all on her own. She hired coders. She had beautiful photography for this food. She had all these, recipes and all these things. And she was faking cancer the whole time, saying she had, stage 4 brain cancer. But the rub is that she was telling people that she was curing herself of the cancer by eating, pressed beet juice, essentially, like by eating healthy and eating clean. And of course, that doesn't really jive with reality. So she was found out. And I mean, it's a really great series. And then also the Netflix documentary that went along with it, 2-part documentary. I am fascinated by scam artists, and I'm also fascinated by the way they get away with it. And like, how did no one say, especially people like at Apple and Penguin Publishing, who published the whole Pantry Cookbook, like, how did they not say, hey, we're going to need to see some receipts that you actually have like stage 4 brain cancer? Since you're dining out on, I'm curing myself of cancer by eating clean. Like, where were the receipts for that? Like, how did Apple just buy into this? And they bought in. Like, they put her app on the first iteration of the Apple Watch. It was the first, like, wellness and lifestyle app on Apple. It was, like, a big thing. I mean, again, if she had not gone down the scam route, she would have been wildly successful. I mean, this girl was young, like 23 years old. Very, very smart girl, but used her powers for evil instead of good. Another one that was crazy that I finished up this week was Becoming Brigitte. You guys. Candace Owens, I'm not even going to try and do it justice. She killed it. Brigitte Macron, the contention is that that's a man, baby. Emmanuel Macron's, quote, wife. At the very least, she's a pedophile, because she had a relationship with Emmanuel Macron when he was 14 years old, and she was, if you believe she was really a woman, 39 years old. If you understand that she actually is a man and assume the identity of her brother, she was 47 years old, and he was 47 years old, and Emmanuel Macron is 14 years old. So, ick. All right, we'll get into some current events when we get back. You listen to the Angela Box Show. Be right back.
Infuriating the far left, Democrats, socialists, and communists. It's Angela Box on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
Okay, so from the Biden White House, the people who are going to be bringing back decency and dignity back to the White House, those people who allowed the military to start, advertising their kinks and wearing weird S&M masks in their formal pictures, wearing their majors uniforms, and the dude who has a mental illness thinking he's a woman, Dr. Rachel Levine, some obese man telling us how we should live a healthy lifestyle, but they have a problem with Kennedy anyway. The girl, excuse me, why am I saying that? No, the biological male who's cosplaying as a woman who has some bolt-on boobies. that guy that flashed his boobies in the White House Rose Garden during the Pride celebration, like 2023. I mean, there's so many. The former White House staffer who filmed himself being anally penetrated, shall we say, in one of the Senate conference rooms. I can't. And these dummies, these, Biden shills, these Democrat shills, sit there and be like, oh yes, we just, decency is back, dignity is back. Speaking of that, I've mentioned Base Life Guru several times to you, and I'm hoping that you're starting to watch him because he's been finding the most hilarious election night coverage from extremely dumb and arrogant, really arrogant leftists. Like, just so arrogant. Found another one I watched the other day called Vosh, and I mean, they're so just checked out of reality. And they think, they literally, he's like, oh, I guess she didn't win because of misogyny. It's like, well, could it be because she's an absolute moron and she slept her way to the top? Like, could it be that? If you didn't see the clip of Kamala earlier, Senator Kneepads earlier this week, touring the fire damage, woo, Nelly. We dodged all the bullets. They said, Senator Kneepads, what's your thoughts on what's going on here? She's like, well, when we look around, there's a lot of smells. You can smell it. And you can see that, there's a lot of devastation. And we see that a lot of, there's just a lot of energy here that's just really sad. And it's like, okay, really? And this lady wants to be governor. That's why they're trotting her out. To which I say, please run her for governor. Because Rick Grinnell, who is based and amazing, and an affirmed homosexual, by the way. Trump has been sending Rick Grinnell out to do all kinds of stuff. He's my jack of all trades guy and master of all. He's sending him out to California to make sure that they're not screwing around with the people trying to get back into their homes, and they're making sure that the cleanup goes quickly, and Lee Zeldin's EPA is on top of it. And even Karen Bass, that dirtbag, the mayor of LA, and I'm going to get to her in a sec, because there's some news about her too, guys. I just think something in the milk ain't clean about these fires, and we're going to talk about that, I hope. Anyway, Lee Zeldin's EPA is doing such a good job that even Karen Bass is like, yeah, this is going really quickly. Like, oh, you mean when you get rid of regulations and red tape and you allow people to actually do their jobs and you're not worried about hiring, like, the making sure that you check boxes like, well, hey, we don't have a transgender Muslim on this team, so, we can't really start the cleanup yet. We need to get one of those. And then we can get started. No. And Rick Grinnell even said, because they were holding up the cleanup because they were using DEI to hire people. Again, they don't learn. And Rick Grinnell's like, you better stop this crap right now. And they did. Anyway, so Rick Grinnell has threatened Kamala Harris with a good time. And he's like, listen, sis, if you decide to run for governor of California, which, again, we always shoot. Oh, please run for governor, Kamala. Senator Kneepads. I honestly, as glad as I am and as much as we dodged all the bullets with this lady, I want her to run for governor of California because she is the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, and I hope she's drunk for most of her press conferences because that's always fun. But Rick Grinnell's like, if she decides to run, I'm running for governor. Do it. Because I think of all people, of all the Republicans I could think of in California, Rick Grinnell's a genius. He is incredibly smart. He's MAGA all the way, and he's gay. And it's not just that he's MAGA, it's common sense solutions. And he's going to be like, listen, I'm going to run as MAGA, and I'm going to see because he's going to have to debate her, and that's going to be delicious. And I think of all the people, I think he could win. Anyway, back to bringing back decency in the White House and, your tax dollars at work, and I will get to Karen Bass probably in the third segment. Okay, so this week they discovered, I don't know if Doge discovered it or Tulsi at the DNI, but somehow there was an NSA chat room that was discovered. So employees of the federal government, paid for by us, had a chat room, and in said chat room, it was a LGBTQ plus forum, so like a Reddit or whatever, but it was on the government servers. And these people who were all, queer, so you had to be queer to be in it, and they said the most disgusting things in this chat room, like beyond disgusting, talking about their kinks and they like to be peed on, and they talked about their transgender surgeries, and they're like, man, I'm telling you, peeing feels so great now. I don't have to push it. I don't have to push anything out of the way, and I just like being able to tell everybody about boobs, and, here's something one of them said in the chat room. I had to get my beehole, I think you know what I'm going with there, my anus, essentially. I had to get my beehole zapped to remove when I was doing my body hair removal. And that was interesting. That was quite a sensation. You guys, this was on a government website with people who are in the intelligence community. And you want to tell me that A, there's not a deep state, and B, everything that Elon is doing, minus a couple of, hiccups here and there, is not exactly what needs to be done. And on that note, mainstream media, who are just, and the Democrats who have nothing. Y'all, their bench is Jasmine Crockett, okay? Their bench is AOC and Jasmine Crockett, which is hilarious. And again, please keep doing this. And their bench is also David Hogg. Please keep this up. David Hogg, who's already using his position as vice chair of the DNC to grift and to raise money for his PAC, that goes into his pocket, because you get 15%. If you're running a PAC, you get 15% of that money. He's doing fundraising emails, directing dumb Democrats to go donate to his PAC. Like, I can't make this up. They're all just such grifters. But Jasmine Crockett, she's an interesting one. Jasmine Crockett is, Texas's AOC, essentially. She's like the national Jolanda Jones, I would say. Jolanda Jones is, I've sparred with this lady a lot of times on TV. She's something, okay? And if Sylvester Turner had not basically said he wanted Sheila Jackson Lee's seat, the late Sheila Jackson Lee, Jolanda 100% would have run for that. And I would have been like, oh my God, if she was in Congress, like, her and Jasmine Crockett would be having a ghetto lady off. Like, who can be more ghetto in the Congress? Like, would it be Jasmine Crockett or Jolanda Jones? Rolling their necks, whatever. But Jasmine Crockett is, again, the Democrats' bench. This is what the Democrats are like, yes, we need more of her. The lady's not bright. But anyway, the polling that the Democrats are having a meltdown over, there's been a couple of polls recently that are showing Trump's, the sugar high is wearing off a little bit from the first month. But the first month, full steam ahead, firing on all the cylinders. And I think once Cash gets in there and Bongino, and congratulations to Dan Bongino for being appointed the deputy FBI director, because it's like, oh, Cash was bad, and Bongino's like, hold my beer, because they can't listen, Dan Bongino's basically Cash Patel's insurance policy, because if they thought they could get rid of Cash by, I don't know, assassination or, poisoning him, I hope he has a royal food taster when he's around these people. Dan Bongino's just like, yeah, I'll just be the FBI director. Like, either way, y'all are screwed. And Dan Bongino wrote 2 books. He wrote one, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, I believe he wrote one about the Russia collusion hoax, and I believe he wrote one about it's either something in the corrupt FBI or the Biden crime family, okay? It's not going to be fun for them. And I think right now, those of us who are like, where are the indictments? Where are the charges? It takes a while to build a case, and we now know from a whistleblower named Garrett O'Boyle, an FBI whistleblower who used to work for the FBI, now he's got a conduit with people in the FBI who are the good guys. It's 5-alarm fire here, guys, and Cash has been told, and the president's been told, and Pam Bondi's been told. The FBI is going through all their secret servers and their servers, and they're deleting evidence. They're deleting evidence regarding Epstein files. They're deleting evidence regarding the Russia collusion hoax. They're deleting evidence of God knows what. Okay, because that's what honest people do, of course. You know, they just go and delete evidence and make sure it's wiped. And the whistleblower is saying, not only is it deleted, it can't be recovered. So I hope that Cash is going to get in there and basically seize all the servers and make them stop. And evidently they've got some secret server farms that the whistleblowers is going to be telling about too. Like they've got off-campus servers that's where they hide all the really good compromat on people, evidently. I truly hope that we start to get to the bottom of these things. And, you know, Pam Bondi said last week at CPAC that she has the Epstein list. She's got the Diddy list. Their release is imminent. And everyone's like, okay, what's up? You know, Kash Patel said within 24 hours we're releasing it. It hasn't been released yet. And I think there's a couple things going on here. I think they're waiting for the right moment. I think that they're waiting for some more dots to be connected with these Doge investigations that Elon Musk is now uncovering. And the first kickback has now been discovered with Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, who's terrible, like awful, one of the worst, arrogant jerks in the Senate. Okay. His wife, her little environmental justice group, well, it was funded to the tune of like $15 million, something like the Senate just, here's some money for this thing. And, she got paid like $2.7 million. So that's how they do it, guys. That's how it's happening. So that's just the first domino that's going to fall. These judges that keep trying to stop Trump, their wives getting money. It's all so dirty and so disgusting. All right, we'll talk about more crap when we get back. You're listening to the Box Show.
You've tuned into the right place for conservatism. It's the Box that rocks. This is the Angela Box Show on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
All right, unpopular opinion. Okay, I think Trump needs a nap. And I say this because, again, he's been firing on all cylinders. But lately, his press conferences have been a little rambly. And they kind of just go on a little bit. It's like, okay, let's get back on track here. And, you know, and he sounds a little tired. And not tired like I'm an old man and I need some tapioca pudding and a rest home like Joe Biden. I'm just saying he needs to rest a little bit. Just a little bit. But Caroline Leavitt has been killing it. You know, I talked about Stephen Miller last week, who basically gave the stupid press reporters like a lesson in civics. And like, listen, I know that you guys are, you know, super smart and everything, but you do know that the only elected person here is Donald Trump, okay? Donald Trump gets to hire who he wants. It's in the executive clause of the Constitution, whatever clause that is. And they're just like, what? Anyway, here's the point about the Epstein list and the Diddy list, etc. There's a couple points. I think they're waiting for the right time to strike. I think they're waiting to connect some more dots to see these kickbacks because, you know, Maxine Waters doesn't have a $4 million house in Hancock Park because she's a genius, okay? The woman is a shriveled old raisin and she's corrupt as hell, all right? Nancy Pelosi doesn't get to have 75 facelifts and be worth $110 million because she's a genius. Okay? She didn't have that kind of money when she came into Congress. Neither the Clintons, for example, Bill and Hillary Clinton, when they left office, whenever that was, I can't think, 96, I think. Yeah, 96. When Bill and Hillary Clinton left office, they were worth about $1 million. Okay, fine. They're worth like $200 million now. You know, the Clinton Foundation was raking money hand over fist when they thought she was going to be president, and then the donations just mysteriously dried up, 98%. I mean, we talked about this before, but, like, there's so much corruption and graft here. The Epstein list also, I think, is going to have to be looked at, and the Diddy list, too. Diddy list, I think, would be a little more cut and dry because there's tapes and, you know, there's whatever. The Epstein list, he may have a book I mean, the people that fly to the island, I would say probably knew what was up, right? If you're flying to the island, you know what's going to happen. And there's a lot of rumored names on it. I think we're definitely going to see Prince Andrew. We're definitely going to see Bill Gates. We're definitely going to see Bill Clinton. But there's a lot more. But I also think that there's a possibility that people in his address book or whatever, that some of them may not be connected to this at all. And it's important that they make sure of who is implicated and who is not implicated before they just release the book. And then, you know, people that just might have an innocent connection to him. Because remember, he was like some financial guru, allegedly. That's how he made all his money. He did have connections to people that probably were not nefarious. I mean, Donald Trump was socially friendly with him when he would come to Mar-a-Lago, and then he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, never forget, because he hit on the 14-year-old daughter of one of the members, and that's when he kicked him out. And also never forget that the plaintiff's attorneys for Virginia Giuffre Roberts and a couple other of Epstein's accusers, Brad Edwards, said Donald Trump is the only person in power who's even remotely lifted a finger to help us. And he's not just lifted a finger. He has just told us everything we could ever possibly want to know. Okay? So don't get sidetracked with this, oh, Donald Trump could be in his book. Yeah, he probably is, because he knew him. But anyway, my point is they've got to do their due diligence, okay? If you were in the book and you're like, oh, my God, I didn't do anything. I have nothing to do with this. I'm not a child molester. I'm not a pedophile. I don't have a fetish, whatever. Like, you need to make sure. And I think there might be some connections to other intelligence agencies around the world. Some are thinking Mossad. I definitely think he probably was a CIA asset also. I mean, look, it's a lot. They need to make sure of everything. I do think it's going to be released at the right time, when it's going to cause maximum damage for these evil people who are all going to be taken down one way or another. Now, again, it might not be a situation where they're all going to be wrapped up in a legal case because of statute of limitations or deleted evidence that the FBI is going in and, putting a paper shredder to. But if there is a cause to connect people in a serious, substantive way to Epstein or Diddy, those people their names are going to be mud. They're not going to be able to walk down the street. Okay? It's kind of like OJ when he was acquitted. Everyone's like, oh my God, how'd this guy get acquitted? That's another good one on Netflix, by the way. Listen, I watch every single OJ Simpson thing. I'm constantly fascinated. The new one is Manhunt. It's very good. But he was a pariah the rest of his life. Like, who wanted to have anything to do with him? Nobody. I mean, yeah, he did get to live his life and play golf and whatever, but like, normal people are like, ooh, I don't want anything to do with this man. Anyway, so have faith, stay patient. It's going to happen. Okay. All right, so here's something the media is not happy about, obviously. There's some differing polls, and again, the sugar high might be kind of wearing off a little bit of the first month, but Joe Biden never got anywhere near these kinds of numbers, certainly in the first month, certainly ever. The guy that got 81 million votes, which, again, watching these election night podcasts and whatever from the left, is really fascinating look into the minds of a leftist, because to a person, they will all say, okay, this is starting to feel like 2020 again. But remember, in 2020, remember what happened, guys? All those tranches of ballots came in and they all went for Joe Biden. I mean, they don't even think it's so crazy to me how they don't even connect any dots. They're like, where did the 15 million Biden votes go? And out of their other side of their mouth, they're like, okay, where'd the 15 million Biden votes? And also remember guys, remember those big ballot dumps that came in and most of them went for Biden. Don't give up. Like, how are you not seeing the actual fraud here? How do you not understand that when you shut all 5 swing states down at 10:30 at night for different reasons, and they were all BS reasons, And then after you allegedly sent everyone home at 1:30 in the morning, you get a bunch of ballot drops. 98% go to Biden. That's not real. That's fraud. Okay? Listen, you smartest people in the room. That is fraud. But anyway, I digress. Joe Biden, in his first month, never had anywhere near these numbers. Okay? But Trump is around 50%. That's pretty good. Like, he never had those numbers, except at the very beginning. He had, I think, a 52, 53, so kind of what he's hovering at now. But then after the Russia collusion hoax started, and they started that lie, and that smear, and that trying to destroy him, he went down to 40%. I mean, guys, for all that he's doing right now, and how it's just F around and find out on steroids. I mean, at this point, they got to be talking to each other and being like, God, we really shouldn't have cheated in 2020. Like, we shouldn't have did all that, because he would not be experiencing this level of popularity or this understanding of this is what has to be done. This is what has to be done. The border must be closed. We must start deporting people. We must build the wall. We must look into the government books. We must do all of it. He would not have had the mandate in 2020 because it was a much more, it's still a divided country. It's still a very, very divided country, but he was even more so in 2020. Now, let's talk about some of these polls. Okay. Polling conducted, this is on February 24th. The Capps-Harris poll found Trump's approval rating is at 52%, which is crazy. Net favorable approval rating, so he's at a +9, which is like banana sandwiches. He's never, ever been at that. Net favorable approval ratings are also enjoyed by Vance, HHS Secretary Kennedy, and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. I think this is before Cash was approved. On every single major issue, the poll found Americans have a favorable view of Trump's agenda by wide margins, such as deportation of illegal immigrants who have committed crimes, 81%. And the Democrats still are on the wrong side of this. Just like they're on the wrong side of men playing in women's sports. Okay? That's at 69%, which is weird that it's not higher, but, 70% basically are like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. What? Stop it. Stop it. Okay. Eliminating fraud and wasting government expenditures, 76%. So basically everything Doge is doing, they're like, more of this, please. Closing the border, 76%, and having only 2 gender options on government forms, 68%. That's a funny little side thing you can go find on TikTok is find the transgender people, the transgenders, the precious transgenders who are bringing grace and dignity back to the White House. Go find their TikToks where they're just having meltdowns about the government mailing them a new passport with their actual biological sex on it. It's like, you can put on a dress and you can take your hormones and you can do all the things you want to do, but on a government document that is a legal document, you're a biological male, okay? You can say you're a girl, but DNA says otherwise. Chromosomes say otherwise. It's called science. The people that believe in such, science, that they think that man can control the weather and, cow farts are going to cause the world to end in 2028, according to AOC, and, men can become women. Just because. All right, one more segment. You're listening to the Angela Box Show. Be right back.
Standing up for what's right. This is the Angela Box Show on the Big 1070. The Answer.
Okay, so back into this polling. Again, these polls that are being taken right now, there's a few that have him at 47%. There's a few that have him at 52%, but he's hovering around 50%. Real Clear Politics average is he's got a net 1 or 1-2, or either a 1 point or a 2 point favorability, which again for Trump is huge because he's so polarizing, and it is what it is. But people are now like, I don't care if he's polarizing. He's getting it done, okay? He's getting it done. Has anyone noticed how everything is a lot calmer? Everything's a lot more chill. You can go and enjoy breakfast with your friends without feeling like at any second something could just go crazy. Like, it's just more chill. It just is. It's a vibe. It's a different energy. But, on the economy, people are kind of split because 40% are saying that his policies will make them more financially better off. 36 say worse off, and 46% of voters say Trump's policies will increase inflation. Well, let's dig into that a little bit, because with, Joe Biden's policies of printing money, printing trillions of dollars of paper bills that have no backing in reality, they're popcorn essentially, they're packing peanuts. It's going to take some time for that to come back. And Carolyn Levitt was like, look, the first Trump term, or it wasn't Carolyn Levitt, it was one of the guys that she brought up last week. I think it was Michael, something to do with the economy. He said, listen, we'll be honest with you. Like, yeah, inflation sucks. It's going to take some time for it to come down. Trump's net inflation rate was like 1%, which is crazy. Joe Biden's is like 8%, and that's what the media is spinning it. It was probably more like 15 to 20. Like, if you've been to the grocery store at any time in the past 4 years, you've seen how prices have gone up. But it's going to take some time. But we are going to be drilling. He has taken all those regulations off, drilling and doing offshore drilling and all those things. Fracking is going to be back. He is incentivizing companies to come back into the United States to have their companies because of the reciprocal tariffs, which why has nobody thought of that before? Ever. Why hasn't one single person said, you know what? We're getting screwed over in Europe. They have a VAT tax on us. They have 25% tariff on us. China's got crazy tariffs on us. India's got crazy tariffs. Why don't we just put the same tariff they've got on them so it's like a net zero? Why don't we do that? I mean, hello. This is why Trump is so great. It's a profound idea that is actually very simple. And what it is going to do, it is going to incentivize companies to build factories here so they don't get tariffed, because the United States is still the biggest economy in the world. The United States is the big guy on the playground, okay? And you want to be able to do business in the United States. And if you're going to get dinged with the same amount of tariffs that you're dinging the United States with, that's a problem. So instead of getting the tariffs, they're like, why don't we just build here? And a lot of companies are starting to do that. Apple is going to be building a campus I hope in Houston for some AI. They're talking about building in Houston. They've got some stuff going in Austin, but it's like, get out of Austin, man. Like, just come to Houston. It's less crazy. But there's going to be a lot of companies coming back, and it's a genius idea. He's like, listen, you ding us 15%, we're going to ding you 15%. That's how it is. And it's a policy that, again, the American people are behind. They're like, that makes perfect sense. You know what else was crazy? Yesterday I walked in to Fred's office, and he had CNBC on, and I was like, at the bottom it said, Trump proposes gold card for immigrants. It's like, okay, what's this? Well, you got your green card where, you come in, you do it the right way, you get your green card, and then you become a citizen after a certain amount of time, and you have to pass the citizenship test, and you have to speak English, and you have to prove that you're not going to be a burden on the taxpayer, all the things that the legal immigrants have done. And hats off to them, because that is hard. And I know that takes a long time and a lot of money. And that is why you see how pissed off legal immigrants are at these people cutting the line. These people that just flooded the border for 4 years on purpose to change the voting population. That's what it is. That's why they did it. And it's called treason. And oh, by the way, 70% of Democrats think that Biden's open border, it was just a whoopsie. It was a mistake. Again, the dumb and the arrogance of these people really knows no bounds, which is why I'm very, very convinced that the Democrats will not change, which is great for all of us. Okay. Anyway, back to this. The gold card. So Trump is basically like, look, let's do something like New Zealand does or Australia does. Australia and New Zealand and other countries around the world, they don't play. They're like, listen, if you want to come and be a citizen in our country or work in our country, you need to prove that you have the financial means to do so. You need to be able to prove that you're not going to be on any taxpayer benefits. You need to be able to do all these things. You need to have a job, blah, 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 blah. So he's like, look, let's have gold cards for those immigrants who can afford it and obviously don't have any terror ties or anything like that. We don't want to, any terrorist tied, oligarchs coming in. But let's have people who have the money and the wherewithal to want to become citizens who can buy a gold card, buy it, and make it like kind of expensive. So that's like, you're getting the people, you're getting the smart ones, you're getting the people who are accomplished, you're getting the people who can contribute to the American society as opposed to being a drain. Now, speaking of that, and again, another policy that is like, why the hell didn't people do this? I mean, look, people like me, people like you, we've been saying this for a million years, like, cut off the benefits. Cut them off. No school, no health care, no welfare, no housing, no food stamps. Hello? Why aren't we doing this? I'll tell you why. Because Democrats wanted the future voters that they were going to be, which if anyone thinks that illegal aliens aren't voting, you're stupid. Of course they voted. And Republicans wanted the cheap labor. Okay? So Trump this week, and in the budget that was just passed, no illegal aliens are getting any more benefits, period. So, Trump's like, we need to speed up these deportations, and they're getting out a lot of really bad criminals. Right now they're focused on the really bad guys. But, the aperture, as Tom Homan said, is going to be opening up, and they're going to start getting more. And they're going to, as soon as all the really, really bad ones are gone, the Trenda Aguas and the murderers and the rapists and the child pedophiles, which, oh, by the way, remember Colony Ridge out in Liberty County? By, that place that slumlord Trey Harris set up? Yeah, ICE and Abbott helped work with ICE this week, and they got like 118 violent illegal aliens out. Bye-bye. But that aperture is going to start opening up. But before that can happen, Trump's like, well, why don't we just cut off all the federal benefits to them? And they'll start self-deporting. Because if you're not able to stay in the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City, which is what they wanted, which is what they had to do, $69 million going to like 2 weeks ago to the Roosevelt Hotel, and Elon's like, yeah, that's stopping. They'll self-deport. It's pretty simple, guys. These ideas are not brain surgery. Like, why didn't we do this before? And that is why, as time goes on, and more Americans now think we're on the right track than the wrong track. It's not a majority yet, but it is a plurality. And it's like 20 points higher than it was under Joe Biden. Like, I think under Biden, 25. Under Biden, like 15% thought we were on the right track. Now it's 40. So it's a pretty big jump in 2 months. But, we only have 2 more minutes, Corey. Is this the 4th segment? All right, let's get to one more thing. Let's get to some Schadenfreude to close out the show. So, great Schadenfreude was Dan Bongino. God bless Dan Bongino. He's going to be fantastic working with Kash Patel. Another little bit of Schadenfreude. Well, Joy Reid, the bald angry black lady, she lost her job. She lost her job on MSNBC, and she lost it during Black History Month, you guys. So she's black and she's history. But unching. Look, I don't celebrate anyone losing their job. I really don't. Like, it's tough, like, for sure. And, they thought all that, the media that was getting USAID money, like Politico, and we're gonna come to find out that so much of our media was given money, USAID money, to basically propagandize the American people. Because there's a reason that when you turn on the local news, like, they all say the exact same things on a script. It's like, what are they all like on a big Zoom call? Like 500 news stations around the country on a Zoom call every day. Be like, let's say this today. No, they were fed this by their masters who are giving them money. So Joy Reid, whose show had no ratings, and she's a rabid racist, hates white people, like almost just full out admits it. She's awful, terrible. Her show got canceled. And she was crying on TikTok, and they're like, please bring Joy back. And she's like, my show had value. I brought 1619 Project in. My show had value. Sorry, Joy. You can be a podcast. You can have a YouTube like Don Lemon does. But do that. He's moderately successful over there. All right, that's my time. You've been listening to The Angela Box Show. Until next time, everybody, keep kicking ass and taking names. Peace!